Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is my Monday catch-up. I'm still trying to think of a good name for this because it could be called my Friday reads if I did it on Friday, but I think I mentioned last week that the way I do my planner, and I think my 2022 planner will be like this, is it starts on Monday and it ends on Sunday, which is I had to take a look at that. It ends on Sunday, so I would like to make my videos every Monday. So if you watch this video and you can think of a name for me, please put it in the description below and we'll change the name of this weekly video. So this week I read 11 books. Now last week I read more. I read 17 books last week, and I think the week before that I read maybe, how many did I read the week before? The week before that I read 14 books, and the week before that I read about the same. So why did I drop from 17 to 11? Well, this week, Saturday in particular, was the funeral of my nephew, James J. Neal. So as the week started to wind down, my anxiety about the funeral got stronger and stronger, and Saturday was spent with family, so therefore my reading quite naturally dropped. I mean, come on, I think anybody would that's dealing with grief would have a cessation in their favorite hobbies, and that's what happened with me. So on an upper note, or on a higher note, aside from that, let's talk about what I read over the past week. Now, the first day of the week, Monday, I read My Daughter's Mistake, and that was by Kate Hewitt. Now, you would think that I would have my notes ready, but guess what? I don't. So, we are going to get them. Now, I'm hoping, okay, you see the tripod shaking because my cat is determined that every time he hears my voice, we're supposed to commune together. So here he is, using my tripod as a way to try to get my attention. So I'm hoping I don't have to start this video again. So let's get started. My Daughter's Mistake by Kate Hewitt. Now, this book is releasing today, actually, so I don't know. Let's see, what day is this review going live on my blog? It's not going on my blog till October 2nd, which is Saturday. So therefore, I'm not sure if I'll put the review up today, this video up today, of the review itself. We'll see. But let's get back to my notes. So, I'm sorry I'm so discombobulated. I had insomnia as the more anxiety and grief that I was dealing with. I went Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday without sleeping. Saturday night, after getting home from my sister's house, I did get 5.5 hours of sleep. But yesterday, Sunday, I pretty much slept from, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon until off and on until about 5 o'clock this morning. So I got my sleep back, but I had not yet had my coffee, so discombobulation is going to be part of this video. So I mentioned the first book that I read this past week was My Daughter's Mistake by Kate Hewitt. Now, I read a lot of Kate Hewitt books. I usually read her women's fiction books, but she has written a few historical fiction books. I've only read maybe 2 or 3 of her historical fiction, but her books are always really, really great. Now, who made the mistake? What daughter made the mistake? And what was the mistake? Well, in this book, Amy Rose, I think she was a 6-year-old child, got hit by a car by a teenager named Jenna. No, Jenna is Amy Rose's mother. Maddie was the girl that hit Amy Rose. So that was the mistake, My Daughter's Mistake. Now, these individual titles that that I'm telling you about in this video will all be reviewed individually on this channel. That's why I was double checking the blog tour date for this book to kind of give you an idea when this video would go up. So that is the theme of this particular book, is why did Maddie hit the little girl? What happened? And what was the aftermath of that? That's all I'll tell you about it here. Look at this channel either today, the 27th of September, or on the 2nd when this blog tour post goes up, and you'll get a full review of this story, of this book. So that is My Daughter's Mistake. I believe I gave it 5 stars. Very, very good book, and very heartwarming and very heartbreaking, but a very, very good story. And I say it was heartbreaking because no, we'll leave that. Just look for the review. Then the next one I read is Find Me at Whisper Falls. So I've got to find that one. This one is scheduled to go live on my blog on October 4th. And let's see when the release date for this book is the 30th, which I guess is Thursday. So on Thursday, this review goes live. This title goes live and is available for purchase. But like I said, my date for this post will be on October 4th. Now, what is Find Me at Whisper Falls about? Well, it's a romance / women's fiction book by Ellyn Oaksmith. And by the way, My Daughter's Mistake, and this book is a Bookature title. All but one of the books that I review I talk about in this video. I see my laptop screen is in my glasses. I hate that. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, all of these books are Bookature titles, and I am going to get my tablet out to forestall any future glare from my iPad on my laptop. All of these books, like I said, are Bookature titles, except for the last book that we'll talk about in this video. I'm just bringing up what I can bring up so that I'm not doing this with the glare from my glasses. That's all I'm doing. I've written every single review, which is different from previous videos I've done. I'm just going to move my laptop. Yes, like I said, I'm discombobulated. I went from having no sleep to having too much sleep to not having my coffee yet today. So what you see is what you get. So why did I bring up Mistletoe at Moonstone Lake? That was last week. Let's bring up Find Me at Whisper Falls. So what was Find Me at Whisper Falls? Like I said, it was a romance / women's fiction. And in this book, it starts off with Freya Johansson starting over because she had suffered a bad breakup, and no coffee, so I don't know where the indigestion is coming from. Excuse me again. Freya just finished veterinarian school, so she's got her first job as a vet coming up. However, when she goes to where she's been promised a job, she finds somebody named Trent there, but he was also promised a job. The job's very important to Freya and to Trent because it also comes with a 2-month like a room and board type situation. So since they're both starting out, they both just finished school, and they're both just starting out, having a place to live and a job that pays well would be a great start. But there's only one job, and there's 2 candidates. So who gets the job? How does this work out? And why is this a romance? So like I said, in this particular video, you're just going to get brief summaries, and in individual videos, you'll get full reviews. So that was a very good book. I think I gave this one 4 stars. The next book I read was Murder at the Wedding, which was a cozy mystery. I love cozy mysteries. They're probably, I wouldn't say my favorite genre, because I think my favorite genre of all is psychological thrillers, but cozy mysteries is right up there with the books that I really like. Well, this was the 7th book in the Miss Underhay series, and I have read... Oh, he was trying to come up here. I was just trying to move my laptop for him. I have read the first 6 books, so when I got to this one, quite naturally, I was glad to read it because it was a great book. So, in this particular book, Kitty Underhay is going to be a bridesmaid at her cousin's wedding. Now, I think in another book I'm going to talk about another character who's going to be a bridesmaid. But she is going to be a bridesmaid. And she's really looking forward to it because over the last months, Kitty keeps finding dead bodies. So her duties now are to manage a hotel with her mother, but yet she's acting as an amateur sleuth. So going and participating in this wedding, she's hoping to find a break from all of that. Well, she doesn't get that because guess what? Another murder has taken place, or at least an unusual death or an unexpected death. So she starts to investigate, and she also likes to work along with her friend Matt, who was a former policeman, and they have an affinity, or I'm saying affinity because back in those days, a romance was called an affinity. I don't know, that word stuck in my head. So that was Murder at the Wedding. Again, brief summary. That's all you're going to get, at least in this particular video. The next one I read was Mother's Helper by Julia Crouch. I don't really need notes on this one. Basically, I guess I do need my notes because I don't seem to be able to call out characters' names very well. That's just a shortcoming of mine. But we have Rachel, who's an Instagram influencer, and she's pregnant, and she wants to hire somebody as in the UK, a lot of time nannies are called childminders. She wants to hire somebody that will assist her in taking care of her child. Now, Rachel is a single mother, but there's a particular reason that she needs to hire somebody to help her to care for her she's still pregnant, but for her newborn when her child is born. So she brings a complete stranger into her house, and that girl's name is Abby. Now, Abby gets the job. She's perfect for the job. Why is she perfect for the job, and how is she so certain that she's going to get the job? That's a psychological thriller called Mother's Helper by Julia Crouch. Again, full review to come. Then I had 2 books. They were by Dana Perry. Now, for Dana Perry, I actually had Silent Island, but I found out that, or I actually knew when I accepted the book that it was a second book in the Detective Abby Pierce series. So I actually went to Amazon and I bought the first one, which was called Her Ocean Grave. Either I bought it or it was on Kindle Unlimited. But in any case, I got Her Ocean Grave, and I read that first, and then I read Silent Island. Now, I kind of think I may have done these on my channel already. For some reason, I'm thinking that I did. But what we have in these 2 books are a new series featuring the detective named Abby Grace. Excuse me, not Abby Grace. Abby Pierce, I'm sorry. Now, in the first book, we have a woman named Samantha, a younger woman, I think maybe 16 or 19 years old, named Samantha Claymore, who went on a bike ride and she never returned home. So Abby finds herself looking for this woman, but Abby was fighting demons along the way because Abby is a recovering alcoholic. And whether it was her boss or her uncle, they would ask her, have you had a drink or are you drinking? And I loved her response. Her response is, I haven't drank today. She never felt enough confidence in herself to say, no, I'm not drinking. She was day by day. I kind of like that. I found that very, very striking. And that was basically who we had in Abby. A very good detective, but one fighting her need for alcohol. And then the next one I read, and this, we're, by the way, moving on to Wednesday. So I've told you what I read on Monday, and which was 2 books. My Daughter's Mistake and Find Me at Whisper Falls. On Tuesday I read Murder at the Wedding, Mother's Helper, and Her Ocean Grave. And on Wednesday, which was the beginning of my bout with insomnia, I read 1 book, which was Silent Island, and that, again, it was the second book in the Detective Abby Pierce series. And in that book, by the way, Her Ocean Grave and Silent Island, they take place on Martha's Vineyard. Now, I live in Holbrook, which is near Boston, which is maybe 40-minute ride to the vineyard, or maybe a little bit longer. But I love Martha's Vineyard. We usually take a ferry when we go to the vineyard. Like, we'll go to Boston Harbor, and we'll take a harbor ferry over to the vineyard. So it was nice to read books that were about the vineyard. Now, one thing that this book, Silent Island, and the previous one that I read, Her Ocean Grave, is when Abby takes the job. She's a former New York cop, a homicide cop at that, and now she's moving into a quiet, excuse my one quote, quiet village of the vineyard, and yet she's facing some serious, or handling some serious cases, and so the vineyard is not as quiet as she expected it to be. So that was Silent Island. And like I said, I'm kind of thinking I already did these videos, but I'm not really sure. I'm tired. Okay, yeah, I'm tired. Okay, so what's next? Next is My Best Friend's Wedding by Tennant. I love this book. It started off not bad, sad. Goodness gracious.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
No. Stop, Siri. See? I'm just a mess today. Alright, so
Okay.
Siri, stop. So the next book, yes, I was talking to my watch. Oh my word. Don't unsubscribe, please, because I am such a mess. Okay, so the next book was My Best Friend's Wedding. I think I need to refresh this page because I know I wrote the review. Okay, so My Best Friend's Wedding was, I know the person that, I want to say Libby, but okay, yeah, I just had to check. Libby was going to get married to Rufus. It was her wedding day, and she finds out her wedding is not going to take place because Rufus is having an affair with her cousin. And her cousin tells her, I'm pregnant. I don't want you to go through with this wedding. So Rufus doesn't try to stop the wedding. Libby's cousin tries to stop the wedding because Libby's cousin says, you're going to be heartbroken. He's going to break your heart. I'm in love with him, and I think he's in love with me. So the wedding is off. 6 months later, Christmas Eve, Libby's best friend is getting married, and now Libby is acting, her best friend, by the way, her name is Willow. Libby will be the chief bridesmaid at Willow's wedding. Now, I did not include what I'm going to say in this video. I've already written the review. I haven't done the video review yet, but I've got the written review written. In this wedding that Libby is doing the chief bridesmaid, she's also the bride. I've never heard of this before, but there's junior bridesmaids, 3 little girls. I think they're 7, 8, and 9. Well, Libby's job not only was the chief bridesmaid, but she was also the bridemaid's mother, or some kind of role where she had to kind of like look after these little girls. I thought that was kind of cute, but I didn't bring that up in the written review. In any case, her best friend's about to marry, and when Libby got the wedding invitation, it was Libby plus 1. Plus 1 would have been Rufus because they would have been married by now. So Libby says to Willow, I don't know how I'm going to feel. Is there any way we can uninvite Rufus? Well, Willow says it would be poor etiquette to uninvite Libby's ex. So Libby's like, okay, I'll take it like a champ. I'll just try not to talk to him at the wedding, because Libby did not want Willow's big day to have any kind of damper on it. So she tries to just avoid any eye contact with Rufus, but she does make eye contact with Noah, a perfect stranger to her. But when Libby locks eyes with Noah, her world changes. So, is it love at first sight? And if it's love at first sight, does hope that turned into dismay, that brings up hope, well, it turns into dismay again, but yet it ends on a happy ending. I will make that video review soon, but that's my best friend's wedding. That was my first read for Friday. Now, since I didn't sleep Thursday night, I started early that morning. I started A Lighthouse Christmas, and so it was a Christmas. It was set at Christmas, but it really wasn't a Christmas story. In fact, it was about a woman, and I'm going to tell you her name in a second. Mia was saddened by the loss of her grandmother, and her job is to help restore the lighthouse that had been in the family for generations because they needed to sell it due to poor finances. Now, as Mia is getting the lighthouse ready, she can't help but remember her grandmother's last words to her, and I'm going to read them so that I don't misquote them. Her grandmother says, "Tell your sister hope is where you'll find it if you'll look." So Mia has that in the back of her mind, but she also has a bunch of old photos. So as she's looking at the photos, they're kind of like pieces of the puzzle that prove that there's been a family secret that has been hidden for decades, for years. And what does this family secret have to do with the lighthouse, with its impending sale? But then there's another factor, I'll say a third factor, is that this book, A Lighthouse Christmas by Jenny Hale, was also a romance. So it was a woman's fiction, cat hair. It was a woman's fiction, but it was also a romance. And why was it a romance? Well, that's because there was a real estate agent, and I believe his name was Will Thacker. Ugh, sorry about that. Will Thacker. He was the real estate agent, and in affinity, there I go with that word again, a little romance started to bloom between him and Mia. So that was a really nice, very, very nice story. Like I said, it's called a Christmas Lighthouse Christmas because it took place during the holidays. Then I read a very, very effective book called The Girl on the Platform by Ellie Midwood. Now, this book was about a couple who were both Germans who, at the time when Hitler invaded Berlin, World War II hadn't begun just yet, but yet Hitler had invaded Berlin, and these two were resistance fighters. I think I made this video already, but anyway, these two were resistance fighters, and we get to see what they did in order to fight Hitler, especially as World War II took place after, the bombing at Hiroshima. World War II took place, and now they are fighting Hitler, and what happened to them. The thing about The Girl on the Platform is that it was based on the real life, I want to get their names right. I know his name was Harrow, Harro, but her name, okay, I went into HTML. Okay, let's get her name. Sorry, when you do dozens of reviews, especially when, in my case, I do reviews that are not books that are not out yet, and I don't use notes the way that I should. Why am I not finding? I don't think I'm finding it because I published it already. Nope, I didn't publish this already. This doesn't publish. Yeah, see, it keeps coming up in HTML. That's why I'm having a problem. This doesn't publish until October 15th. As a matter of fact, I don't even have the graphics. Like if you look at my, let me see if I can put it in preview mode. So, oh, you can't see it. So I have written it, but there are no graphics. That's why I was having a hard time finding it, because when I was going through the menu, I was looking for the graphic, and there are no graphics because it's very, very early. So this book doesn't even release until October 13th. So I think I did the video, but I won't publish the video until then. So her name was Libertas Schultz Boyson, and his name was Harold. They were real life people. So I actually did a little research on them, and their story is very tragic, but it was bravery in the face of fear. And that is a girl on the platform. And like I said, I remember making the video on this, but I've already scheduled it 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. So I'm stumbling so bad today. And then the last book I read was A Rake Like You, and this was by Becky Michaels. And if you see, I'm going to be putting up the images, but if you see the image, you can see I can barely read the writing because the writing is white on a white dress, so that's kind of weird. Okay, so A Rake Like You, basically, in this particular case, this young woman, and no, Robin does not do characters' names. I can tell you about the plots, the dramas, the conflicts. I can do all of that. But to call out a character's name without it being written down, it's not going to happen. And my tablet just wants to load. Okay, so while my tablet is trying to load this page, okay, we brought it up. Give me 1 second. I don't think I will make these Monday videos without having coffee next time. How about that? Because what I do is I try to put these reviews up according to the date that they're going to post. But I know that I wrote this. I feel like I'm losing my ever-loving mind here. All I'm trying to do is give you her name. But I can't. So I guess when I see. I published this on the 26th of September. I was looking through my drafts. I wasn't looking for my scheduled reviews or my drafts. I was looking through my drafts and my scheduled reviews, but I wasn't looking through my published reviews. Oh my God, this is terrible. Okay, so here we have I'm losing my mind. Louisa, I'm telling you, losing my nephew just has taken a piece of my soul, and it's just got me all messed up. Okay, Louisa Strickland I've got this one. Louisa Strickland had said to Charles Finch, who she grew up with, that was her neighbor, let's act like we're courting because my stepmother's trying to marry me off. He said, sure, I'll go along with it. Well, he was just going along with the plan. However, Louisa fell in love with Charles, but she caught him in a compromising position with another woman. So she called off their fake courting, and they went their separate ways, and she was determined never to speak to him again. Well, now it is, I think, 6 years later, and her sister is on the marriage mart, and she wants her younger sister to find a good marriage mate. Meanwhile, Charles has now become impoverished because his estate is, he could lose his estate, but he also owes £20,000 to a really notable duke. So he's got a huge debt. He needs to marry. So he sets his sights on Louisa's younger sister, Flora. And I think Flora is like 17 or 18. Charles is about 26 or 28 years of age. And Louisa and Charles realize that they have feelings for one another. In fact, her feelings for him never went away. But she's not interested in marriage for a very good reason. She has a very good reason. Charles, he just wants to marry to save his estate. But then he starts to have feelings for Louisa. So it's a little bit of a quandary as to what he'll do. all while Louisa is more concerned with Flora. So this is the second book in the series. The first book I think was Lady August, which I didn't read, but this did great as a standalone. But I do want to read the next story, because either his sister Rosamund will have a story, or her sister Flora will have her story, or there might be 2 more stories. So Becky Michaels is a new name to me. I will definitely read it. The video has gone on to 30 minutes because half of it I was stumbling through. But if you made it through to the end, thank you. If you didn't, I understand. But that's about it. That's the last book that I read this week. Like I said, 11 books. My stats for this week, by the way, were 3,561 pages. So that brought me to an average of 323 pages a book. And that was at a book and a half a day compared to 2.5 books a day from last week. But I think you guys will understand why. My overall stats for the third week are 14,711 pages at 47 books read. I'm looking at my notes. That's why I'm looking down. I'll move them over here. And then this brings my year-to-date pages to 145,850. Like I said, I'm averaging about 330 so pages per book. And that's it. I am about 85% done with my next book, which is The Mother's Fault, but that will go on next week's video. And like I said, if you made it to the end of this video, I really want to thank you. And if you have any ideas what I should call this weekly video, let me know. But that's it. We're going to end it. And I thank you for being here watching me fumble through this. Bye-bye.